down there, they've been giving me look like right at a dozen in the morning. No, like right at half a dozen in the morning. It seemed like. But the other day when I went down there, I got this one.
Oh
Now,
no.
I don't know if you can tell how big it is unless I compare it to this one. So,
I'm wondering if it's a double yolk.
do you want to?
You think if we candle it, we can see if it's a double yolk?
So you put a light up to it, and
Mm-hmm.
you got to turn all the lights out in the house, or just in the room that you in.
Yeah.
So it's probably a double yolk. Okay.
I'm wondering. It's pretty big.
Yeah. I bet it makes some good a good cake batter. Hmm. Well, that's that on that. If y'all know anything about large eggs, extra large. No, I ain't gonna say it's extra large because Walmart swear they got an extra large egg, and I ain't never seen no egg this big in
Me either.
Walmart. But
I think it's big like a duck egg.
so if y'all know anything about chicken eggs that look like duck eggs, please leave a comment so we can figure it out. Without candling it, we wouldn't know otherwise. So it's fun to find out what other people know.
Hmm.
So what you so happy about? You must have got rid of some pigs this week or something.
Yes, I did. Well, I didn't get rid of them, but we took them to the processor.
What's your feelings on taking the pigs to get processed?
I feel great, accomplished. Um, it feels great to me because, of course, that was the first time that we had ever done that whole process. Like, so it just feels good to complete the whole thing from like raising the pigs and getting them on that trailer and
Yeah.
actually taking them to the processor. So the whole thing was like a pretty awesome experience.
I know I didn't expect to feel that accomplished feeling. Like it really was a big deal to have
Right.
accomplished that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't expect that much of a good feeling.
It was a big deal
It was.
to have done that. I mean, like for that to be our first animal, we went all in. That was it was a big deal.
You know what I noticed about us? We came to a knife fight with a gun on some of the wrong things. And some of the other things that we should have showed up with a gun
Well,
with.
not our first animal because the chickens were our first animal, but our first big animal. So
Hmm.
right.
I noticed that like it was maybe like some overthinking areas. I felt like for me personally, I felt
Mm-hmm.
like I look back now at it like, oh, I really could have did that way easier than how I approached some of it because I felt, the feeling of when you don't know, you feel like you got to go into this thing with 110%, but sometimes 50% is okay too.
When I think about like our first plan that we were going to do on getting the pigs on the trailer and what we actually ended up doing, that would have been a whole lot more work than what we actually ended up doing to get the pigs on the trailer.
I agree.
So it worked out. It worked out really, really, really well with a lot less work.
I feel like communication was key because the
Hmm.
better we communicated, the better we outsmarted the pigs, and we were able to leverage the pigs' free will
Hmm.
to move them and do what we wanted them to do. We made them want to do it.
Right.
We could have only accomplished that through us being able to communicate.
Right. Because who would have ever thought that I know I would have never thought that we would have ended up letting them pigs out and letting them walk up the hill. That would have been the very last thing I would have said we would have done.
The thought
The
of it,
last thing.
The thought of it made my knees buckle.
If anybody would have told me, oh, what we would have ended up doing was letting those pigs out, I would have said you got to be out of your mind.
Yeah.
No, I would have never thought that. But
Yeah.
because my initial thoughts was to build that pen up so that they were like basically trapped in and walked straight onto that trailer like it had no type of way that they could have got out except on that trailer. But that was like the opposite of what happened.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think what was good was that we worked with them because
Hmm.
we did use the trust that they had for us.
And together,
We
like
did.
we
We did.
we worked that out.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that.
Right.
But also on the other side of it, if I'm transparent, when we got to the processing center, at that point it kind of settled on me what was going on, and I feel like I had to come to grips with the fact that this is it for them. This was a transition for them, and I won't see them again, and I raised them, so it was some type of personal attachment to it, and I had to quickly switch back to business mind, but I had to be honest about, I did feel some kind of way about it.
So I thought that I wouldn't feel any kind of way about it, but when we left them and you asked me about it, was the first time that I thought anything about it, and my thoughts on that was that what I would feel like the next morning, and that was the first time that I really thought about it, was that I wouldn't be getting up with the buckets going down there as I had done like for the last 6 7 months, like
Yeah.
every day going down there feeding them in the morning. So I had to sit with that thought, but then just thinking it is what it is, and they were raised for that purpose. So you know,
And that gives me peace because I
hmm
do I do understand that God has given us dominion.
hmm
So these animals are here in service of us.
right,
So I make peace with
hmm
that. But I'm still got emotions and stuff, and
hmm
I just felt like a part was gonna be missing from the family. But it shall return to the freezer. What you cannot avoid, you must overcome. What does that mean, like spiritually?
well, to me, it means that there are going to be some situations where we are faced with some things that we can't control. And being one of those people who likes to fool themselves like they're in control of a lot of things, that's a bit of a challenge for me. I'll just say that. So, you know, I know a lot of other people probably struggle with that too. So, for one, it brings you to a place where you have to learn to totally depend on the Lord. So for me, um, that's where it brings me to a place of surrender, to get into a place where you find your strength in learning how to depend on the Lord, because that's the only true place of strength.
Wow, that's good. Do you feel like you face some fears on this journey with the
Yes.
pigs?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it.
Well, on facing fears in general, for me, I look forward to that as a challenge just for me personally, because I feel like facing fears builds your muscle. So for me, doing a tough thing is something a challenge that I look forward to in my life.
Wow.
So for you, doing a tough thing may be sometimes saying no.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? But if you don't ever practice doing a tough thing, you'll be falling down when you should be helping other people get up. You know what I'm saying? But you have to practice doing a tough thing, or you will buckle under the weight of that discomfort.
Right.
You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
So what I hear you say is, if there are things that you can't avoid and maybe you feel like you can't overcome, I guess, is that a point where you reach acceptance? Is acceptance maybe the next step in your journey?
Right. I mean, that's true. Because a lot of times we spend a whole lot of energy trying to avoid situations only to really wear ourselves out. Because all of that energy that you spend running from pain is really just an illusion. Because pain is a part of life. It's not avoidable. We have all faced pain in some form, whether it's loss, whether it's physical pain, emotional pain, some type of pain we have all faced. We have all experienced some type of trauma in our lives. And I mean, that's unavoidable. So it's not, if we are going to experience pain, it's when you will experience pain. And what are you going to do when that happens? You have to have some tools, put in place in your life so that when those things happen, you know what to do. If you don't, then of course you're going to feel like you're falling apart, you're falling down. And then what are you going to do? So this is one reason why, of course, you need the Lord. That's the primary thing that you need. But this is another reason why I always tell people, get you a coach. Because we don't just need, our friends and family, that's fine. But we also need other people in our circle so that we can have those mirrors to show ourselves things about ourselves that we can't see on our own. And sometimes the people that we have in our circles, I mean, let's just be honest. Sometimes people don't want to tell you the truth about yourself because they know you and they know the reaction that you might have if they tell you some truth about yourself. So they are not prepared to deal with that reaction from you sometimes. They might love you to life. I don't like using that term, that expression, love you to death. They might love you to life. But, they may not want to deal with the way you may react if they tell you the truth about yourself. Yeah. So you need a person in your life who is prepared to share some things with you that you might not be otherwise willing to see, to help you grow and help you, be able to move forward in your life. So that's why I say get you a coach. We can't do this walk by ourselves. Not as effectively as you could if you had somebody walking with you.
Wow.
A real friend, you shouldn't have to change who you are to fit in with them. So that's like basically what he was talking about at Bible study Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? So,
because a real friend is gonna love me for me, the real me, not the fun me and not the money me or the convenient me. Because then you have to be careful that people fall in love with your heart and not your hand. Also, so
and it's gonna encourage you to grow and to move forward, and it's not going to be envious of that progress.
Wow.
Because sometimes you find yourself in that situation also and people don't realize that sometimes relationships are for a season just for that reason. That, it's not that, you never cared about that person, but sometimes we outgrow people.
Wow. Relationships have expiration dates also.
And that's such a good point. And, some people will look at it and think, oh, well, that person was just being phony all along. They never cared anything about me because look at them now. But That's not true. You know, that relationship may have served its purpose. It was what it was for that season.
Yeah.
But like you said, that relationship may have reached its expiration date. It served its purpose. So you have to have, you know, enough wisdom to understand when that time has come, when that purpose has been served, and move on. Everybody can break those, you know, ties and move forward and wish each other well, and it not be we beefing because you know that season has come to an end. We don't have to be beefing to wish each other well and say, okay, we're not on the same page anymore.
Judas had an expiration date, now didn't he? Because full transparency, I just found out that he was one of the disciples. But that's neither here nor there. The bottom line is even Judas had an expiration date in Jesus' life, and it served a purpose because that was what propelled him to glory. So at one point, when you was trying to get the pigs to go back in the pen that one day last week, it looked like you was telling them. No, you was trying to tell me what the plan was, but it looked like they were listening to the plan also because they had laid down and looked at you.
Right.
So they were entertained almost by the idea that you had a plan. But you know they say pigs are smart like
I was
kids.
just gonna say that. So I can see why people came up with that idea that pigs are about as smart as they say they're smarter than dogs, and are probably about as smart as a 5-year-old child. And after watching these pigs for all of these months, I can see why they say that.
I agree.
Like the way that they act, I can see why they say that.
Yeah, they do act like little kids. Like as soon as they saw this, really shocked me. When as soon as they saw the trailer, they looked at us like that wasn't there before.
Right. And how they look you in the face,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they actually stand there and look and
Mm-hmm.
watch, like, yeah.
Yeah, they make eye contact with you. They ain't like them chickens. Them chickens be they. I mean,
Clueless.
it could be Donald Trump down there in that chicken coop, and they couldn't care less. They don't know who is who. I don't know if they know or not, but it just ain't apparent that they know what's going on all the time.
Right. I can't say they clueless, but
I don't think they're clueless, but they are not
not
as
like the
aware
pigs.
as a pig.
Right.
They just ain't. So my prayer life is based on these 4 words. It spells out X,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes. The A is for adoration. The C is for confession. The T is for thanksgiving, and the S is for supplication, not supplementation.
You was right.
Okay, so I'm gonna name it. You give me an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So when I pray my adoration, how would you do?
Lord, I adore you today for your faithfulness, because you have been faithful to me. And I would give all of these lists of different ways that the Lord has been faithful to me. All of these different situations that I could just think of that the Lord has shown me his faithfulness.
I love that. So the C is confession. Now give me an example of your confession.
Then I would confess for all the times that in the midst of God being faithful to me, all of those times that I just listed, that I didn't see his hand being faithful to me at those moments. Because a lot of times in the midst of these things going on, I didn't see that the Lord was being faithful to me at that exact moment. So now when I'm going and I'm thanking the Lord for his faithfulness, because now, of course, looking back on it, I can see that the Lord was being faithful to me then. I'll confess now that at that time, I'm sorry that I didn't see your hand when you were being faithful to me in that moment. I'll confess that I didn't see your hand.
So the T is thanksgiving.
I'll just list what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that you are faithful. I'm thankful for all of the list of things that I'm thankful for.
And then supplication. That's asking for what you need.
Hmm. I need. I'm asking for your favor. I'm asking for wisdom. I'm asking for your Holy Spirit to fill me and lead me. I'm asking for, I said wisdom. I'm asking for, I stopped asking for patience because because this is where a relationship comes in. So I was asking for patience, and the Lord showed me this one morning when I was praying that we ask for a lot of things, and then we go whining and complaining when the Lord brings us to these situations that are exactly what we prayed for. Because how do you know you have patience unless you get a situation to test your patience?
Wow.
So, some of these things now in a certain level of maturity that you have been brought to, stop asking for it. Like not some people, but me. Stop asking for it because you already have these things and start walking in them.
And having a great prayer life builds resilience. It really does. So use that every day, all day. It's ACTS. When you pray, if you don't know what to pray, if you're tired of praying or tired of, or maybe you feel like you're begging, no,
Right.
just treat it like a relationship and talk to your Father.
Mm-hmm.
I adore you. I confess to you. I thank you, and I need you.
That.